pleasure to introduce you the host of today. The host of today is none other than Ranira Iyer. Now, who is Ranira? She has been a dear friend of mine who has joined Empowerment Talks journey way earlier, a good team member, and professionally, she's a passionate and an expert training professional with a degree in hospitality management and 9+ years of industrial and corporate experience. IELTS grade C1 that she recently passed. So give her a good round of congratulations in the chat box. She has recently cleared that with the grade C1. So she has been working on her goals consistently. And that's what we want you to do as well. So be focused on your goals. And she has been an array of industries that she has worked on, specialized in soft skills, training and development, communication skills, public speaking, mentoring, talent management, social change strategist, and an English enthusiast. So over to you, Renira, to take us through the session. It's a pleasure to have you here and to have a speaker. Over to you, Ranira.
Wow, yes, it feels like I'm receiving an award. Thank you so much for such a brilliant introduction. And yes, good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone here on Zoom. Good evening, everyone on YouTube and all over who are watching. Thank you for coming here today and spending your evening with us. I hope it is a valuable one. We have an amazing speaker, somebody who's very close to me, and somebody who's talking on a topic that I am very, very fond of. He's going to speak about a type of communication, and I am very excited for this. To introduce my speaker, her name is Snezana Ciric. She's from Serbia. She's a kinesiologist, a physiotherapist, a pranic healer, a public speaker. She believes that beauty comes from within, and the only way to unleash that beauty is to work your way on your personal development and to be the better version than you were yesterday. She has a vision that says being a part of making the world a better place to live in and seeing the progress. Today, she is going to speak about haptic communication, which is the communication by touch, something that we are all aware of but are not able to do currently in the COVID times. So, without wasting much time, I would like to give it over to Snezana. Snezana, all yours.
Thank you very much for this introduction. Now I feel like I'm receiving the award from you. Thank you very much for everybody for being here. And it is a great pleasure to be part of something such as the empowerment talks. And thank you guys for having me here. And let's not waste the time, as you said, speaking about the topic. I first want to share with you why I chosen this topic in the first place. It's because for the past few months, since all this started, all this situation, we are out of touch with our friends, with our families, without the touch of the environment itself. Some people are probably still in a lockdown, which is not easy because we humans are meant to interact with each other, if you agree with me. So it's probably not really easy for people to go through this period. And when I studied about the haptic communication, how I actually came across this is through the kinesiology itself. I work for past 13 years with the touch, doing treatments and doing a physiotherapy and the massages. And I know that much about the touch, but I didn't know how important it is, how essential it is for our life. So what I learned throughout my experience for the past few years is how touch is actually important. What we learn in the school is a technique, how to do a physiotherapy or to do the massage. But what we haven't learned is about that part, which is the most important. And that's that non-verbal communication with people through the touch, because that's how we can actually show our emotions as well. So it's not only through verbally expressing our emotions, but we can express our emotions through the touch as well. And that is what is actually important, to show people care through touch as well.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for taking us through why we have chosen this topic. But before we get into, the question answers, and I know that you do not have slides today, you wanted to keep it interactive because it is on communication. So before
Yeah.
we get into the whole thing, can you tell me your journey and how you got to doing, you're from you are a physiotherapist, sorry, and you're into pranic healing, public speaking. It's like two, three different aspects all together. So if you could tell me your journey till date and why you are into something like this.
So since a childhood, actually, I wanted to become a doctor. That was my dream. And whoever asked me, what is it that you want to be when you grow up? I always say I want to be a doctor. But thank God my parents couldn't afford to send me to study to be a doctor. And my life path brought me to this different journey where I learn how to help people on a much deeper level through the kinesiology and the pranic healing. And that's my journey. I went through pain in my life, I would have said that. And what actually brought me back to my life is a pranic healing. And that's how I started my journey in learning about energy more. And the kinesiology is also a study about the energy as well. It's an energy balance. So I always loved to do the massages and to help people. And that is how I decided actually to study about this, because it's something that I do with a passion. And I do it not automatically as a job to be done, but to really get some results, because I do it through the passion. And studying a physiotherapy made me learn more deeper about the body. And that's how I get in touch with the pranic healing, and how I get in touch with the kinesiology as well, because that's how I completed everything. So now I can use all different techniques to combine them and get much better results with my clients. And they get the faster recovery as well.
Okay. All right. Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
So we do have some people asking us that, are you going to get into slides and are we doing question and answers directly? So I just want to make it clear there are no slides today, and it is going to be an interactive and a question and answers. That's what we've both decided on, because that is how it will be. We'll be able to address as much as we can on Haptic. So I'm sorry, Gia, to disappoint you, but this is the format we're doing today. I do have a few questions that are very relevant, and I know that since you have an expertise in this, how would you describe haptic communication through your own experience?
So, as I said earlier, I've been working with touch for so many years. And that's when I realized that the technique, it's one thing that everybody can learn technique, but the touch is very important. So if the touch is caring and loving, then that's what people need a lot in their life, right? So that's what we have to implement in any work that we do. So there is always, in anything that we do, there is our own personal touch. And also what I learned throughout the years, few years back in my country, I used to cooperate with a good friend of mine who is a psychologist. So she used to send me her clients with a brain injury to take care of them. And she also sent me a lady, and I said, okay, she's okay. She does not have any health issues. She's fine. What is this all about? And she said, well, she's just going through the rough time. She's going through the divorce, and she just needs a touch. And at that point, I did not have any clue why she's telling me that. I said, fine, that's okay. Now, learning about the haptic communication and the non-verbal communication through the touch, I understood what is this all about and how touch is actually important in our life, and how much maybe we need more of this or maybe sometimes we have a lot of this. Yeah.
Yes.
So this is everything that I do is actually related to a touch. Even I've been teaching a therapist, I've been training a therapist to do the massages. And one of the things I could teach them the technique, but one of the things I could never explain them is what is it that I actually do? How do I know what's going on in human's body? Because that's what I couldn't explain. I just do it through my touch. I know what am I feeling under my fingers, but I cannot describe that and I cannot teach that part. So only the technique, but not what is actually that I'm doing and how I can sort out something. So that is how I understood that the touch is important. And anyway, uh, any service that we receive, whether we go to a hairdresser or we go to do the facial or we go to, I don't know, even you buy a painting, there is a personal touch in there. There is some emotion in there that those people have put. And that is what actually attracts you because that's what you see.
Correct. Very, somebody saying it's a very touchy subject today. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is very, because it's and I spoke to you about this. We are so much, we are not allowed to do this at this point of time, which is crazy. And when we are talking about this, how it is actually important.
It is. It is. Can you tell us a little bit more about pranic healing? What is it all about?
So pranic healing is an energy healing.
Okay.
Okay, it's a beautiful, beautiful technique that anybody can learn, and anybody, it's whatever what is required for this to be learned is for you to be an open-minded.
Oh.
So it does not require a physical touch, so it's pure on energy level. And it's just a beautiful technique to learn for yourself, to help your family, to help your friends, and it's for your personal development as well.
Wow, I'm sorry, that was a little off topic, but I just wanted to know because I know a lot of coaches doing pranic healing, and everybody keeps talking about energy and positivity. So yes, I do understand why everybody's getting into pranic healing. Now I'm going to get a little bit into depth about haptic, and can you tell me what is the order of sensory development?
Okay, so what we develop as from the beginning. So what is first developed? There is a sequence of sensory development, right? So first, it's definitely a smell because we breathe in, obviously, and then it's tactile, which is a touch. Then we have the auditory, and then the visual. So this is from the very beginning. So when we are born, the babies are born, this is what we first develop. It is very important. That's why that touch is actually very important when we are born. And then later on in when we approach the adolescent, this shifts into a different priority. So first is visual, then it's the auditory, and then it's the tactile.
Okay. All right. So it's like the five sensory organs, the most important ones, and what are they doing? All right. Okay.
Exactly. But what's very interesting about this is that we definitely can live without the sight, so we do not have to see, because we can develop another sense. We don't have to hear, we don't even have to have a taste, but what we cannot live without is the touch.
Wow. Yes, I do agree with that. I do agree. In fact, I think the touch is like an alternative and helps all the other aspects if there is a lack of any of those. So yes, I do believe that the touch is very, very important. And I do know that there is something called as a good touch and bad touch as well. So there is a question that I want to ask you. It is, what is the relationship between touch and human behavior?
Okay, so as we said, the first sensory that we develop is the tactile. So when the baby is born, this is what first is developed. So the baby is looking for a touch. And the way, I know there is a lot of touch now in this conversation, but that's how it is. So that's what we first experience is that touch. So the way the baby is being taken care of, that's what the baby is going to remember, right? And throughout our childhood, there is a lot of studies that they have been going, and there have been studies on the babies who were actually stroked by their mothers. They had a lot of less flus and diarrheas and any kind of health problems comparing to the babies that they haven't been stroked by their mothers. Also, there is a studies going on that the children who were not having this proper, adequate tactile experience through the childhood, they're being aggressive when they grow up. So that's a very big difference how the children are treated, or the babies when they're born since childhood. How are we being treated? How we are going to behave in our life as well. So if there is a caring and a loving tactile experience in the childhood, we grow up into healthier, happier, good people, I would say, so non-aggressive.
Okay. All right. So it does affect how how you have been. Yes, I do understand, and it's a very sensitive topic as well, because it could lead to a very controversial one as well when it comes to the kind of touch that you have had an experience with childhood, and that's where you get into these other aspects of bad touch. So I do know why you say that it'll definitely reflect the kind of touch you have had an experience with as a child. Thank you so much for putting that up. I have one more question, and then I think if you do have anything more to add, you can. I do have a few people, even in the audience, asking beautiful questions. There's one more I want to ask you. How do we apply haptic, communication in kinesiology?
So in the kinesiology, how we work when we work with the clients, how do we apply the haptic communication is there is a different kind of people. So there's some people who actually need more of a touch, and they don't even recognize this. They're not aware of this. Yeah. So there is another group of people who actually cannot stand the touch, because the only way they experience this touch is through being maybe beaten. So through so they experience touch as a pain or as inappropriate, or it's embarrassing. So they cannot actually stand the touch at all. Okay. Which, as we said, touch is essential for our growth. Touch is essential in our life, and they cannot stand the touch. So this is not really okay. There's something going on in their life that needs to be balanced. Also, some people have lost touch with the environment itself. So some people might be very much influenced by the environment, such as the weather, when it's raining, when there is a clouds, yeah? And some people are not enough in touch, are actually too much in touch with the environment. So that's also not being properly balanced. And there is a disorder that is called SED, and it's a disorder that is it's a seasonal affective disorder, right? Where people get depressed during the cold season, during the winter and autumn. So because there is a lack of light and there is a lack of melanin secretion, yeah. So that's how we are actually affected by the environment itself. So we are we are out of the touch with the environment, because it's normal to be raining outside. It is normal to be dark sometimes, right? Yes, yes. But there's some people cannot simply handle that, and that has to be balanced too. Also, some people they lost touch with their emotions. So like you lose touch completely with yourself. So you're not acknowledging actually your emotions. So what people do, they close, and we have been closed now for a while, sitting in our couch, watching Netflix, eating eating, ordering food. That is it. I think in the lockdown, most of the people have done that, and they have been ignoring maybe a certain emotions that they've been going through, right?
Yes.
And later on, when they have to go and face other people or go back to work and go back to their normal life as much as possible, it's not easy for them. So that is completely ignoring your emotion and completely losing touch with what is it that you feel, and losing touch with yourself. And there is one more thing: how we apply the kinesiology with the nonverbal tactic communication is through the intuitive touch. And that's where the part of a healing comes, actually. So some people might have gone through abusement, and they've been beaten. So for them, it's not easy for them to be actually touched. They might get triggered if somebody wants to even hug them, right?
Yes. Yes.
And so for this kind of people, you have to start actually treating the energy body before you even go into the physical body. So for them to gain that trust towards you and be feeling more comfortable in being physically touched. And that's beautiful exercise that it's amazing to do it even at home with the family members, as I believe a lot of people are hardworking and they need this caring touch. Yeah. So you work for 12, 15 hours and you do not have time for yourself, and you take care about your family, you take care about everybody but yourself. So you need this caring touch too.
Wow. That is, I think, the most beautifully answered, and I can understand why you've got into kinesiology.
Yes.
Kinesiology, yes. I had to literally practice it because I haven't said it before. But I understand your passion for what you do, and I love what is your vision. I love your mission statement, and what you're looking forward to doing. It's basically indirectly healing in as many ways as possible. How difficult is it for you to convince somebody about kinesiology and its benefits? Because it is something, like you said, it is not. It's when I heard about it, like I'm very grateful that Evel got me introduced to you, and he told me, Rania, it's a beautiful experience, and you can only know the benefits of it when you experience it. But that is something. It's like you said, not everybody is open to somebody's touch. So I just wanted to know, like, how when you have to introduce it to somebody, how do you convince them that it's good for them?
Well, this is just what we spoke about now,
Yeah.
using the haptic communication in a kinesiology. There's just a tiny little bit of a kinesiology. It's really had a lot of aspects that we can work on with the kinesiology. And it's not about convincing. What I always say is you cannot help somebody if that person doesn't want to be helped.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what is it that I do is to offer and to tell people what are the benefits of something that I do, or anybody else. But you cannot convince them if they're not ready for such things. And people are actually, because in a kinesiology, we also deal a lot with emotions. This is the main thing that we actually deal with. And people are, I think the hardest thing is for people to face some emotions and to face some certain things in their life. I mean, for all of us, the easiest is to fix someone else's problem, right? But when it comes to you and taking care of yourself and looking in some areas in your life that you need to take care of, because it's your responsibility, it's your life, and you're the only one that they can change that. No one else around you. That's a little bit difficult. But then when person is ready, they will come by themselves. You do not need to force them. You do not need to convince them.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Thank you for answering that. I do have somebody who initially only I wanted to ask a question to the very dear friend of mine, Shamali. She says a lot of sensory organs are inbuilt in females and a girl child, so a woman can express very easily. But how can boys apply or develop these senses at an early age?
If I understood the question well, is that for ladies, for women, it's very easy to develop the sensory,
Yes.
to develop the tactile experience, right?
Yes. Yes.
and for the men it's not. Well, fortunately, unfortunately, men are, unfortunately, men are the one who are, I think, naturally, they are non-tactile. Men are non-tactile creatures, yeah? However, that doesn't mean that they are not in need for that. And what I wanted to speak about as well is about the skin disease, how they actually relate to a touch as well. It's so important because through the skin, we also, our skin is the biggest organ in the body, right? And we cannot live without it. It covers all our organs. It's our organs that protect us. And it's our organs where we develop this sensory, the tactile senses, right?
Yes.
So it is very essential organ. However, if people are withholding the touch, in the children especially, so in the childhood, if there is a lot of withhold of the touch or not expressing the emotions, in the adulthood, this can express through weeping through the skin. So, and also there is, through my experience with people, I came across a lot of people, not only a man, but a woman, that they haven't cried in ages. They haven't cried, right? Which, and also when you ask them, so why is this not happening? They say, because the crying, it's a sign of weakness.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is, or for the men not supposed to be crying because they're men. If they cry, they're not men. Which is, for me, what I believe is that crying, it's a sign of strength.
Yes.
So it's a sign of showing your vulnerability and showing your emotions. It doesn't matter it's for a woman or for a man. Yeah. And we were giving the tears. They have their purpose. So why we are not using it to show our vulnerability and our emotions? Doesn't matter whether we are a man or a woman. So, however, we definitely, whether a man or a woman, we are in need of this tactile experience. So it's up to a man whether they want to express that and to ask for it. Because most of the people, they just don't ask, they're okay.
Yes.
But if you're in need of something, I believe many of you knows that the 5 languages of love, and one of the languages of love is a physical touch. So if a man physical language of love is a physical touch and he's not asking for it, and his woman is not aware of it, then there will be an issue between them.
Yes, of course there will.
So, and touch is about holding someone's hand.
Yes,
Touch is about just, stroking somebody. So this is so you just need to show that to a person if that's their language of love.
Thank you for answering. Actually, that was my second question. I wanted to ask you, how touch and skin disease related, but you did answer already. So thank you so much for answering that question. I do have somebody in the audience who's asking, how do you deal with someone who has a difficult childhood? How to correct the problem with these kids or adults? How do you correct the problem, he says? It's by a man, by the way.
Okay, it's by a man.
Yes.
Okay. First of all, we are not fixing the problems. So in a kinesiology, we are not fixing the problem. We are there to actually see someone's dream or someone's goal or something that they want to achieve if that problem doesn't exist. Because if we see a problem, we are going to get stuck in there into that problem and never sort it out. So in order to overcome something, you have to see a big picture out of it. And that's what we do. And I would say, I don't know who that person is.
Ram K.
Say it again.
His Ram. His name is Ram.
Ram. So Ram, we all had some difficult childhood. I believe all of us have experienced, maybe not the whole childhood, but maybe a certain period. And maybe nobody even knew that we are going through difficulties in our childhood, because we haven't shared with anybody. And maybe it was just a small thing, but everyone's problem is my problem is my biggest problem. It cannot be yours. Yeah. So we all experience this in our life. So what we need to do is actually be ready to go back there and do what's needed to release that, because it's past, and past cannot be fixed. We can just acknowledge that past, what we have learned as a lesson, and then move on in our life.
Absolutely. I totally agree with this. In fact, I do agree that, it's like an emotional baggage that you really need to let go. And it's a pain that you carry for a very long time. But I think as you start to let go, stop living in that kind of guilt and fear of being judged if you come out there and, speak about it, is something that is actually the main problem. It is fear, the fear of, okay, would I be, looked on at by being, the victim at that situation. But I believe every one out of another five girls or boys, for that matter, have been abused as a child. So it is a touchy subject, but I think, like one of the audience, Shamali, also said, it's changing. The society is changing. We come, like, in India, we do have a lot of restrictions to certain things as to, how are you supposed to sit, how are you supposed to stand as a girl, and there are certain aspects of the men that are, superior. So yes, there are restrictions, but as the world is evolving, I think we are getting more open, which is really nice. People are coming out there talking about their problems, and this is, I think, what helps for all of us to move forward and be like, okay, I'm not the only one in the same boat. So thank you for actually talking about the subject so openly, because not many people do that on a platform where they have people watching them. So yes, it's a touchy subject. All
Yes,
right.
it is a touchy subject, but it's the most important thing when people are ready to let go of something.
Yes.
So if you hide something, or if you're putting it in the corner and you're saying it is not important, doing a kinesiology now, I realized, first of all, for myself, that I had to clear a lot of things in my childhood and to deal with those things. And that's okay. But that's not easy. I couldn't say. There is some things that you're like, wow. And I needed few days to recover from this, but it is okay because I let go of it. I finally dealt with that, and it is gone, and now I can move on. Because as you said, you're carrying a baggage with you, emotional baggage. And with that, how can you live a beautiful life in the present or in the future? You can't live unless you let go of something, because every single day we experience something new in our life, right? We deal with a lot more things now when we are grown up, and we have a lot more responsibility than when we were a kid.
Correct.
So adding to whatever we are carrying from our past, it's so heavy.
I do agree. And I think it is one of the most difficult things, but when you get rid of it, it's the most liberating feeling ever.
Of
And
yes, very much.
and if you're seeing that you're one of those examples, you seem so happy and so content with what you do, and you want to help the others to do that and realize that, which is really nice. Ram seems to be very excited today. He's asking another question, which says, how to relax as we all are working from home. If you could share any relaxation techniques we could do at home.
First of all, I really love working from home. So because then I can find the time even to relax myself, because when I go to work, there is no time to relax. It's always something happening. So it's beautiful working from home. I forgot how does it look like when you go out and work actually, because I had so much beautiful time working from home itself.
Yeah.
So first of all, you need to find the time for yourself to switch off from everything, from the TV, from the laptop, from the mobile. And what technique, you can use a different kind of techniques wherever it makes you feel relaxed. You can take a salt bath. You can just put a nice music and be with yourself. You can do a breathing exercises. You can do a meditation. So it's just 20 minutes for yourself, but completely out of the office. You have to be out of that office, being in front of your laptop or with a phone, as we are attached to these things. So that means relaxing. And we all need that to, restart so that we can think better, so that we can focus, so that we can be more productive. There is nothing wrong about it. We are not machines. We are human beings with the emotions, and we need a moment for ourselves to restart and start again.
Perfect. Thank you, Snezana. This is a very, very important topic, and this is a very wonderful time, I think, for us to be talking about this when we have lack of it, but it's still important. And I know that haptic is used in technology. They use it in gaming. They use it in computing. In fact, when people do say that the future is AI and robotics, but hello, haptic technology is what is going to get it started. So for you to even put it on, you need the haptic touch. So I know, I mean, because I am into communication and everything, yes, I understand that it's important. I just want to, before I get into the question and answers with the audience, if there's anybody who does not want to come on camera and has a personal question to ask, actually you can probably just type it, and we will be able to address it. And before I get into that, I would like your feedback, Nazana, of how do you feel when you're, coming here and talking about the subject?
This is my passion, as I said, doing a kinesiology, speaking, teaching people as well. So that's one of my things. Why I'm going through this is because one day in my life, I'm sharing this with you. I would love to have my college and teach about these things, because I think and I believe that they're very important for our development. So how do I feel by that? It's completely empowerment. I feel that power when you talk about things that you love and that you believe in. That, and I speak with through my experience. That's one of the things that I always like. I can always read something and learn something, but what I experience myself, it's where I get this passion to talk about this. Because for past few years, I've been experiencing the kinesiology myself. I wouldn't be able to do this practice if I haven't worked on myself first. I cannot help other people unless I help myself in the first place. So I need to fix my problems and take care of myself first before I go and help others.
Yes, absolutely.
as that's I believe very important, and that's why I'm saying, as you mentioned at the beginning, I believe that beauty comes from within. So what is the beauty within us? It's how we develop ourselves. What do we learn throughout the day? How do we implement that in our life? But everything for good, everything for good. So this is the development that we need to work on. So you cannot change or fix other people. You can change only yourself.
So,
And we do that part, each of us, if we change ourselves just a tiny bit every single day, we are going to have a beautiful world to live in, as we are all going to be good people.
absolutely. Thank you so much, Lazana. The aura that you spread is very calming and smooth, and very soothing actually. The first time I got in touch with you, and you were so warm, and I exactly knew the kind of person you were, because the kind of communication that you have with people also just let you understand the warmth and the whole idea of how that person could be and what kind of a personality. So I'm very, very glad that I know you, and you are as warm to me on a phone call, and the same. I think it just oozes out of you naturally. I do have Yash who wants to ask, I think, a few questions. Yash, if you're here, you can definitely go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you.